Hi everybody, this is a little sneak preview of a couple of products I'm working on. First of all, this is actually hard coded based on quite a lot of the demand index indicator states. As you probably know, I'm quite a big fan of demand index. It's basically a lot of statistics on a lot of markets added up and projected into the future. It's pretty simple, doesn't need anything else other than a demand index license. So this is the first one. This will be released soon. It projects where the price is going to go. It tends to work better when the market's a bit crazy. In a quiet period, so like this, where nothing's happening, kind of sideways. If it doesn't see a pattern at all, you just get a complete straight line. Which doesn't mean the market's going to go in a straight line sideways. It means that it hasn't found a pattern worth telling anyone about. So that's one product. Hasn't got a name yet. This one is completely different. So this is based on the principles of Markov, which is looking at different states. So Markov principles see the market as an arrangement of different states. So an example of a state is a tennis ball hovering in midair at your eye level. So that's a state. Ball is 6 foot in the air, it's not moving. So you don't know how the ball got there. You don't know whether it was thrown sideways or it's fallen from an aeroplane or whether it's bounced up from the floor. You just know it's there. So that's a static state, which is pretty useless without having anything else to compare it to. We can use dynamic states as well, which are measured as a static state. So in this case, the dynamic state is the EMA. So this plot is based on an EMA 20, and it's just asking the question, are you going up or down? So this one's going down, so you would see the tennis ball previously was higher and now it's lower. That's the analogy for that. This is also looking at two static states, which I wanted to put in because a lot of people talk about different days of the week doing different things. This makes it so it's crystal clear. There's no arguments. It tells the truth. There's no input from me whatsoever. It's just telling you what happened. So I've got the day of the week, the time of the day, and the EMA. This has got 1,000 bars loaded of 1 minute data because I'm using the day of the week. So there's 5 days in a trading week with this market. This is the S&P futures. And this is saying at this time of day, 20 period EMA is pointing down. And there's 30 events that match. 73% of them went down. And this is just about to hit the target. That's good. And it's pointing a lot lower, as is this one. So as it is only being asked one state for an indicator, it can't be trusted yet because it's like asking 100 people to point to the moon in the daytime when the moon's invisible. Most people won't know where the moon's going to be at midnight, but some people will. But if you take the average of all their directional pointing, you might be quite close. Putting that back to this is only asking one person. It's asking the person called 20 period EMA. Now, when this is finished, it's going to be asking a lot more people than one. The static states are relevant, but I don't think they're as important as the indicated states. So you can see all these little splay lines, which look a bit like a spider's web, are the previous times these conditions were met. The big up day there, there's a big down day there, and this plot represents the average. Now I can show you what happens if we increase the number. First of all, we can increase the array. So we're looking 33 bars forward of each event, storing it and plotting it. You can go 100, and when that loads, that'll go right off the screen. There we go. So that's the average of the last 30 events where these conditions were true. And the shorter period moving average, which is used, the more randomness we get. Now, there's sweet spots with these things, just like using them in a trading system. If you're using something very short, like 5 or 10, it's gonna flick and flack and change direction very, very often, which will give you a very randomly plot like that. If you use a slow one, it won't change so often, and you'll get a much more meaningful plot. But the key to remember here is that we're asking one person where the moon is, going back to the analogy. So you can't trust the results yet. There's a lot more work that's going to be done with this. So I'm going to change this one to 80 as well. This is not connected to the indicator at all. I'm just putting it there for illustration purposes. So now we're going to get a much more dramatic reading. Actually, it's not much more. It's just a little bit. 76% down, 23.33% were up. Sometimes there's holes, which are quite interesting. These things you would never see with normal technical analysis. And what I like about it is that oh look, it's hit the target. I'm actually learning a huge amount of stuff that I didn't know. And previously, until I started doing this, I thought I was reasonably competent at technical analysis, but now I'm doing this, I'm finding all these other hidden patterns. I found some amazing signals which I'd never noticed before. Pretty reliable. It's like finding out something that has been there all the time. You just didn't look at it correctly. It's all new every day. So it makes it very interesting. I hope that makes sense. So if I crush this axis down a bit, you can start to see the lines become more heavy around the middle and they're much more widely spread out. This could be quite useful for options. If anyone writes options, it doesn't mean it can't go further, but it does mean that this day of the week, this time of day, in this state, nothing went further than that or that. So that's certainly useful. Sure, you could get one that flies off the roof or through the floor. So we've got quite a big move down. Usually draw it just a little bit away from the end. That was a successful projection. Or maybe some news today. I don't know what it is because I'm making this video. So that's it. This is coming in the pipeline. There's going to be a few different versions. Most of the early versions will just use standard indicators, which everyone's already got, so you won't have to buy anything extra. This one will need a valid demand index license, which won't be too expensive. Later versions I make, if I get good results with the early ones, some of them will use my products, so they'll be more expensive, but the first ones will be just like this one's going to be purely using EMA, but lots of different EMAs and lots of different questions that most people don't think of asking in EMA. I've got a lot of ideas, but they have to be converted to a binary state. That's what's interesting about it. If you've not already joined the lonely world of my YouTube channel subscribers, I think there's about 80 people crazy enough to subscribe. And if you're not a member of my website, you can sign up. It's now Friday, the next day. And if you remember, I drew a line around here and it hit it. And I drew a line around here and it hit it. The projection from this indicator was quite quick. It was somewhere around here. But the Markov projection that was shown on this side of the video did actually produce a shape very similar to this and very, the last part was almost identical. And the target was roughly here.